Good morning. My name is Michael, and I'm broadcasting from my garage located in St. Michael's Parish in the Pine Tree State's most powerful and divided city, Augusta, the political center of Maine. Every day I begin by imploring the assistance of God's Archangel of War, St. Michael. Please pray with me if you can. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. St. Michael, the Archangel, defend us in battle. Be our defense against the wickedness and snares of the devil. May God rebuke him, we humbly pray, and do thou, O Prince of the heavenly host, by the power of God, thrust into hell Satan and the other evil spirits who prowl about the world seeking the ruin of souls. Amen. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. So this morning's show is going to be somewhat shorter than normal, probably going to wrap things up around 30, 40 minutes. Appreciate you pausing in your scroll or taking time to come on and watch the show this morning. And no, I'm not going to be talking about Erica Kirk or Charlie Kirk or the murder or that whole situation. I did put up on X just now a post of a YouTube by a researcher, young Black man who gives his honest opinions of recent facts related to Erica Kirk and Charlie's murder. So I thought his perspective was worth passing on. So that's on my X account if you want to go check that out. But I'm going to cut this morning's short because I'm going to be going to Mass at 7 o'clock here in St. Michael's Parish with my son, Jared, who has a website that I want to point out to you by sharing it with you here. He started a company a number of years ago called Alpha Technology, kind of a play on all the technology. I think he started it about, he and his brother started it about 10 years ago, close to 10 years ago. And he operates it out of Mount Airy, North Carolina. You can see that if you scroll down to the bottom. And this page one provides a tremendous description of what he's committed to in terms of principles. And if he can be helpful to you, I would obviously, as his father, commend him to your consideration. But it's going to be great. He just pulled into town, into Maine yesterday. We had supper together. It was great to reconnect. One of the things that I enjoy so much about this age in human history, where we have developed all these sort of instant communications methods like telephone and video calls and all that kind of stuff, texting, is I feel like we talk a lot, like a few times a week on the telephone, and it's just really good to be able to stay in touch with my family, and it really enriches my life as I get older to be able to maintain those connections using computers and that kind of thing. So check out Jared's website, Alpha Technology, if you want to, and when you get a chance. I also wanted to comment quickly this morning about why I talk about St. Michael, pray to St. Michael, link my own name, Michael, my given name by my parents. I didn't pick it. My parents picked it. And I just find it humbling to have that name, live in Augusta, be part of St. Michael's Parish, and be able to pray that prayer to the Angel of War. I think we've gotten to the point now in Maine where a lot of people, perhaps most, think of Christianity as this sort of lovey-dovey thing, this nicer than Jesus, if you know what I mean, phenomenon, and it's just never been the case. Christianity is rooted in the in what we learn from the Hebrew Bible, the old what Christians call the Old Covenant, which includes the some of the information about Saint Michael being deployed by God against Satan, a fellow angel. That story is part of the Hebrew Scriptures, it's part of the Old and the New Covenant, and of course, Christianity holds that the Bible is infallible, that it's true, that it's the most infallible and helpful source to us as humans of transcendent truth, of religious truth, of the kind of truth that goes beyond what we can see, feel, hear, and touch. And so, regardless of what you think about that, if you push away from that, or push away from the Bible, don't read it, or you don't pray, or whatever it is, regardless of that fact that that's who you are, doesn't change the fact that historically, what I'm saying here about St. Michael, about the Bible, the Old New Covenant, about the church's role in the development of all this theology and philosophy since Jesus Christ was murdered, that it's a fact. It's a historical fact. The theology that was developed over so many years, and it's all real. In fact, it's so real to me that it forms the bedrock of what I know will sustain me until I die, especially if I'm ever imprisoned or have to face some sort of violent act that would end in my death. The source of my strength facing persecution, facing trials like surprise visits from the Federal Bureau of Investigation. I mean, there's been so many. I mean, a lot of murder threats when I was the leader of the Christian Civic League of Maine, trying to shield my family from that my wife and I were raising our 3 young sons. All of that, the source of strength for the entire time of my career has been my faith. It's been my belief in God, and so it is what it is. It's historical, it's religious, it's theological, it's philosophical, and it's real. It's not false. And we all, as human beings, have a duty to pursue the moral law, to understand it, and to apply it to ourselves first. And depending on our responsibilities, public responsibilities, etc., to honestly apply those convictions, those beliefs to our public duties, to do so in an open way, and to accept that in Maine, if my convictions, my faith lead to conclusions that are defeated in elections, then I have to accept that, because that's the way our government is ordered. And that's the approach I've always taken to bringing my religion together with my politics. So I'm not wanting to use my religion as a source of force to compel you to agree with me. I don't want to do that. And I feel that it's of critical importance for me to say that right now, because of what is emerging as the United States of America becomes more formally identified with the Jewish revolutionary spirit, specifically through Israel's military campaigning, murdering of innocents in Gaza, and as Donald Trump surrenders his sovereignty over to Mary Mabelson and to Jews, and as that continues to weaken, perhaps even split and destroy the MAGA movement, Make America Great Again, and cast it as Make Israel Great, maybe for the first time. as this continues, then we are looking at something very grim if we cannot turn the corner politically on this. And I think a key to that is for all of us to think of ourselves as American citizens who dedicate ourselves to the resolution of conflict using words, judges, trials, juries, campaigns, voting, etc. We have to rededicate ourselves to this conversation, to this process, which is called the United States of America. And this week's been a real eye opener for me because I've experienced a level of hatred and diabolism, if you will, demonism that is a little bit unique. One of the unique elements to it is it seems to all be tied together by one man, and he worked for me for 6 years. He was my administrator, Michael Hine. If you go and watch yesterday's show, where I had almost 60 people watching, according to the StreamYard numbers that show up while I'm live streaming, I'm down to 0 viewers on this Sunday morning. I don't worry about that because a long time ago, I never really used the internet to achieve success in terms of numbers or money, likes and views and money. I never bought into the internet as a source of money because I felt like it would draw me into the whole advertising reality that spun up after Google monetized using advertising, and then of course Facebook did the same thing. And I've never felt comfortable with that essence for the internet, so I've never worried about it. I'm aware of it, right? It kind of damages my ego a little bit to have 0 people watching this morning, if indeed that number is accurate, and to have had 56 people watching yesterday. And the reason the number was that high yesterday is because it's obvious to me now that it was Tim Bodnar's trolls that showed up. The people who it's either a group of people, what appears that it is, numbering in the 50s with respect to me and Tim Bodnar, because I had Tim, the Truth Slinger, on yesterday morning, and we talked, and it was a very bizarre show. I ended up showing the comments that the trolls were making while we were live streaming. And one of the trolls was using Tim's identity to troll him and me live during the show. So I had Tim on the show. You could see him in real time. And the whole time, his account, Truth Slinger. So what happened? Somebody spun up an account called Truth Slinger X, and they used a slightly different misspelling of Truth Slinger X at Truth Slinger X in order to create this impression that it is Tim's account. And so the whole time that Tim is live, this thing is going. I didn't pay close attention. I've never paid really close attention to my trolls ever since in 2004 I came up close and personal with the potential for the internet to be used to, in a nanosecond, spin up an enemy army, so to speak, a virtual enemy army to attack you using lies, deception, subtle misrepresentations of things that you've said in the past, or spinning your motives against you, etc., with multiple identities. I experienced that in 2004 on email, and so since then I've been psychologically aware of it, and it's overwhelming. It overwhelmed me then. It sort of overwhelms me today. I haven't experienced an email attack like that one since, but I've experienced all kinds of different sorts of persecution. And One link, it appears, to this persecution now, going all the way back to going all the way back to 2005, probably 4 or 5. One thing that links all of that history, my personal history, together is this man who worked for me for 6 years, Michael G. Hine. And so the fact that he continues to act the way that he is acting in my direction with his name, texting me, etc. He threatened Tim this week in a text with murder. It's unclear from the meaning of his words, his phrases in the text, whether he is wishing for Tim to be murdered or to commit suicide. So this week, probably, I'm 90% sure I'm going to do this. I'm going to take the whole matter to law enforcement and make them aware of it, and so that there's a public record of the fact that I believe that Michael Hine wants to either murder or create such a psychologically toxic and emotional environment for Tim online, Tim and his wife Jen, that he wants them to choose to kill themselves. So I want to put that, so it's already on the public record that I feel this way, based upon my personal and professional relationship with Michael G. Hine. But I want to make it formal. I want to put it on the formal governmental legal record that this is my conclusion based on that text and the context of the text. Everything I've experienced in trying to relate to Michael G. Hine in 2025. It all leaves me scratching my head a little bit and wondering if he hasn't been acting in some kind of nefarious psychological way ever since I met him back in 2000. I think it was 2005. He's certainly doing a lot of damage to politics in Maine now, and may have been doing it from the beginning, like I say, because his appearance in my life and my choosing to give him immense power as my administrator in the guts of the Christian Civic League of Maine coincides with my loss of influence and power, loss of connection, loss of substantial, real connection with the pastors and the donors to the Christian Civic League of Maine. So that connection coincides in time with the arrival on the scene in the office of Michael Hine. But it also coincides with the arrival in my life of Fritz Spencer, who's now dead. And I don't have any reason to believe that his actions and his work on my behalf, on behalf of the Christian Civic League of Maine, contained any sort of evil intent. But I'm now being forced by Michael G. Hine's conduct to reconsider to consider that maybe my trust was misplaced, because he was responsible for crafting the narrative in thank you communications to pastors and churches who donated, and also to donors, all of the donors to the Christian Civic League of Maine. I didn't take time to edit his material, probably was a mistake. But I started to get hints toward the end, as I approached my resignation, that one of the components layered into the decline of my relationship with these elements of the Christian Civic League of Maine had to do with Michael G. Hine. But it was so complicated because what happened right about the time he arrived is the Christian Civic League of Maine went to being the champion and hero of the sexual orientation fight in Maine, for the people of Maine who earnestly and honestly and sincerely pursue goodness, truth, and beauty in politics. It was that coincides with the moment in that I lost. I was kind of lifted up to be the leader, the public leader of this movement to resist adding sexual orientation to the Human Rights Act. And then we lost that, I believe it was 2005 when we lost that battle after 2 previous statewide votes that went our way, even though we were outspent by a large margin by the folks who wanted to add sexual orientation to the Human Rights Act. But it took them 3 public votes, statewide votes, to get it done. And we finally lost that battle around the same time that Mike Hine and Fritz showed up in my life. And I encourage you to go out there and make up your own mind. I mean, these are crucial issues that you should and probably do care about sorting out, even today, because it had to do with marriage. What is marriage? The definition of marriage had to do with, as it relates to civil law, right? That was one of the ongoing debates related to what I was talking about at the time, and the leadership I was providing, and the argument I was making philosophically and even theologically, because I was the leader of the Christian Civic League of Maine. Although in terms of my rhetoric, I stayed more philosophical than I went theological. We just felt, the Christian Civic League of Maine, I think, felt the board tactically like that was prudent. And so that's what we did, and we achieved all this sort of fame, we achieved all this this good political result for, like I say, all Maine people, Christian or not, who are pursuing goodness, truth, and beauty when they think about multi-generational marriage and civil marriage and the relationship between the government and the institution of marriage. Then we were providing a service to all of Maine, because look what's happened since I was forced to resign in 2009. Think about marriage. Think about how this idea of adding sexual orientation to the Human Rights Act has been spun into what it's been spun into. Every single Maine citizen has this instinct, this nudge, this feeling in the pit of their stomach or their heart that this entire sexual orientation debate was and remains fake and gay. It's obviously gay, but it's also fake. And I think it was fake from the beginning. And I think I unwittingly played a part in participating in the fakeness of the debate, because I was forced by this fakeness to use the word gay, never use the word sodomy, because even Christians have come to switch off their brain when they hear that word, sodomy. So I ended up debating the word sexual orientation instead of the word sodomy, because I think everybody involved felt like we would get further if we used their word, if we used their phrase, sexual orientation, than if we used the theologically accurate term for what was being considered in a civilizational sense by the government. So put the church aside. Just in historical terms, what was being debated? Well, what was actually being debated was Sodom, the city of Sodom, from the Hebrew Bible. The story is told to all of humanity in Genesis. And of course, we all know what happened to Sodom. Well, of course, we don't know, especially in Maine. So few people go to church now. And so few children are now. I mean, it's practically illegal to present the history of Sodom and Gomorrah in all of Maine's public schools. So we're losing this sense of history, this literacy. We're losing on purpose. We're choosing to lose it. we're choosing not to understand it, not to respect it, not to consider it. Again, regardless of whether you're Christian or atheist, it doesn't matter. It's part of our, especially Western or Christian world, it's part of our history. It's part of what has shaped the human experience for all Westerners, going back to Genesis, the time when Genesis was published. So, but that wasn't even part of the debate when I was the leader of the Christian Civic League of Maine. We decided not to talk in terms of sodomy, to not even bring it up, and instead to argue the sexual orientation point. And what I found about that debate at the time, this was in the 90s, is that every time I made a reasonable or logical argument on top of the phrase sexual orientation, before I could even really make the argument, whoever I was talking to was changing the subject, especially if they were fake and gay. They were just pivoting. They were just pivoting to some other point. Usually it was a personal attack on me, which is, of course, the easiest thing to do, is to demonize your opposition. But I never, not once, did I experience a deep or meaningful or historically accurate debate or conversation, especially with people who were my public political detractors. So this is what we're living through, or living into. And Maine, as well as all Westerners, is going to have to choose. Are you going to continue to think to be actually fake and gay, or are you going to wake up and smell the coffee? Are you going to develop the courage to ask the hard questions about Sodom and Gomorrah, about Christianity, about religion in general, about history? Are you? It's up to you. It's up to you. It's up to you to decide right this moment what you're going to do. Are you going to choose courage, or are you going to choose weakness? Are you going to choose to be social, right? Are you going to be a creature of social media on a platform that has nothing to do with being social, like Facebook or X or Instagram or TikTok or any of them, and has everything to do with being media, public media? The reason Facebook built in all those privacy switches and settings is to fool you into thinking that you were that you had control, or that you have control over what you put on Facebook. Everybody knows that's not true now, but you believed it then, and now Facebook has become the haunt of boomers, pretty much. X has I think a better, more accurate representation of the age groups, the generations, but even still, all of them, TikTok, all of them, YouTube, Google, everything related to Google, everything related to Microsoft, to Apple, to American big tech, it's all now more surveillance than it is privacy. But yet you still think when you play with those settings on your posts in Facebook or whatever, you think it's only being used, right, to sell you ads. Well, is it? I mean, I don't think it was ever just for selling ads. And I don't think that Google was ever just free, just about free, making the internet free. I don't think it was ever about that. I think in the case of Facebook, the use of the word social was fake and gay. And I think in the matter of Google, the use of free as the essence of Google was fake and gay. I think in both cases, those assertions, those promises were fake, and they were gay. And they're more fake and gay today than they've ever been. They're more dangerous today than they've ever been. Look at what happened. There's very recently in England. 11 cops were sent to a woman's house. She's on the second floor taking a bath, obviously naked. So on the second floor, 11 cops, they just come right in. They go upstairs to the bathroom. She's naked. They force her out of the bathtub to stand in front of them. And they arrest her. And they force her to, I hope they forced her to put some clothes on. I think they did. But just Google it. Just go online or YouTube, whatever. She's there talking about what her experience. She was arrested. I guess she didn't go right to prison. Probably she's headed to some kind of court thing. And it's all because of some words that she typed into a text or into Facebook or some social media thing that law enforcement had access to. See, I think what's got to happen is especially with Facebook and X and everything else, is if there's a search warrant, they have to be forced to get a search warrant, and we may have to change the whole Fourth Amendment search warrant expectation and principle to include to force the government to tell the person who is the target that they're a target before the search warrant is issued. I don't know how. Maybe that's the solution. I don't know what the solution is exactly, but this is where we're at now. Right now is absolutely diabolical and evil, satanic, wicked, inhuman. This is not going to work. The internet cannot continue to exist the way that it exists right now globally. And most of the reason it exists in such a toxic form for all of us, for all of humanity, is because of American big tech companies led by sodomites like Tim Cook, philandering crazy people when it comes to sexual morality like Elon Musk, sodomites like Peter Thiel, sodomites like Sam Altman, who's bragging about having sex with another man while grooming very young children. These are the people that are controlling the debate. Donald Trump, yes, he's got a beautiful wife. I think second wife, probably. I don't know exactly. And it's obvious to the entire planet that he's using his power as president to squash the truth getting out regarding the Epstein files. I mean, the most recent, absolutely ridiculous, the ridiculous texture of this release of documents is, I guess, according to a podcaster online who I trust, Voidzilla, there's a bunch of pictures of Bill Clinton there, and there's almost nothing about Donald Trump. It's all been scrubbed. The whole world knows that Trump's all over this Epstein thing, going all the way back to the beginning, practically. Everybody knows that, but yet they do this data dump like this week, and it's all about how evil Bill Clinton is. It's like, come on. Trump, MAGA, whoever's advising or creating or spinning up this strategy to respond to the threat that exists to Donald Trump's power based upon his close relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. I mean, come on, man. Nobody's buying it. Nobody is buying it. It's just retarded. Oh, look here. Somebody commented. I'm going to have to go here. Pretty directly. All right. Well, thank you, Richard. So Richard has an X account called Vengeance, so he's not putting his real name, and I know it's his real name because I've corroborated that since yesterday, 2 days, I think yesterday, when I first really encountered him in a personal way. And so he's reposted the stream. Thank you so much for doing that, Richard Hale. You know, I really respect the use of pseudonymous identity on X, Facebook, and just anywhere online. So when I see vengeance and it's not a personal name, I have more respect for that, because what it signals to me is that Richard Hale understands the threat that exists to people of goodwill that is now baked in to the internet. It's baked into X. It's baked in. It's part of its ontology. It's part of its essence. And he obviously understands that at a very real level. And so you don't have to. I'm not only going to trust. In fact, I trust accounts like that more than I trust accounts that use personal names now, because of AI, because of what AI is doing, because of what Palantir is doing. Peter Thiel, a sodomite, what they're doing, what Walmart's doing, what's happening right now. And I'm gonna go ahead and podcast for another 5 minutes. I think 4 or 5 minutes. What they're doing right now is they're spinning up third-party corporations that offer subscriptions to companies like Walmart. So Walmart, they provide the hardware, the video cameras, the surveillance tech. They provide that for a subscription. And part of the deal is that Walmart agrees to share the data, all the data, with them. And then these are cloud-based companies, and they become a third party that can sell the data on to Palantir or whoever. And then Palantir, which has government power, takes the data points, all the videos taken of you while you're shopping and all of your transactions, and they combine your transactions and your path through the store and all of these data points. They combine them together to create a profile, a psychological profile, that makes it possible for them to connect your identity using a satellite, something as far away as a satellite. Because if they can get a bunch of video of you in Walmart or Sam's Club or wherever, or on the streets, it doesn't matter. If they can get your gait, how you walk, they can get a bunch of characteristics beyond your face. Because think about it, if they're identifying you from a satellite, they're getting, a shot from above. But so they're seeing the way you walk, they're seeing attributes that are unique to you, kind of like a fingerprint. And so they don't even need facial recognition anymore. Who's they? The government, your government, the United States of America's government. They're the most dangerous right now, the most toxic, the most poisoned, because we have become a supremacist nation. We're just as supremacist, if not more supremacist in our thinking, as Israel and the Jews. We are the moral ones. We are the ones who enforce and interpret, have the exclusive right to enforce and interpret and apply the moral law. Nobody else on earth has the amount of power that we have. And we fool ourselves into thinking that it's a responsibility. We have the responsibility to do this, which is a lie from the pit of hell. It's satanic. It's evil. And we are all complicit. Who's we? Every last citizen in the United States of America is complicit in spinning this up, especially right now. If you're MAGA, you're right of center, or you're Trump loyal, you are complicit in the creation of this machine, of this surveillance infrastructure. You personally, especially if you're in politics, speaking out, attempting to gain a following and to provide leadership. If you're not confronting this issue and you're a Trump loyalist, then you are complicit in this evil. You are complicit in the formation of hell on earth. You are. You feel it. You know it in your gut that you are. So what's required now is for you to man up, to choose courage, to choose goodness, truth, and beauty. Otherwise, everything that you hold dear is going away. they may get their wish. They may get the 15-minute cities. They may get everything they've declared. The globalist elite. They may get everything they've said that they're going to give us. They told us in 2020. It all became public. They may get it, and they said they would do it by 2030. So it's going to be 2026 here in a couple weeks. 4 more years, and they've enjoyed left-wing leaning communist support for censorship and control through malfeasance and corruption and lying. They've enjoyed that up until the right of center powers in religion and politics took over with Trump's reelection. And now they're getting censorship from the right of center. And what's fascinating about it is the sort of exclusive reason that justifies the censorship from the right is now religious. It's Jewish specifically, anti-Semitism, right? Holocaust, whatever. Oh, looks like it's time to go to mass. Hold on. Hello.
Hello.
You're on live stream. Are you outside?
Yes.
All right. I'll be right there. Bye. That's my son. So I'm going to go. I'm going to run. Not going to, well, let's take time to say, no, I'm just going to cry. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Enjoy your Sunday. And I got a comment here. Good morning. Sorry I arrived late. Okay, I'll just put it up here. This is Richard, and then I'll stop streaming. Sorry I arrived late. Just change the screen name to address the online bullying issue you discussed yesterday. You're absolutely right about big tech and government, particularly since 9/11, the Patriot Act. Ask Edward Snowden. And amen. I couldn't agree with that more, Richard. Absolutely true. Full on. All right. I got to get to church.